good. All right. Let me write that down. Tom Brady. I can't believe I'm writing this on the board right now. Tom Brady. Tom Brady's Deflategate joke.
Poor Tom.
Poor Tom Brady. He didn't do anything. He was just
He won a Super
hanging
Bowl.
out in the woods at a time like sailors do. So what are we thinking next? What does Tom Brady do that causes Hercules to have this anxiety? What does he do? What's up?
He wins another Super Bowl.
He wins another Super Bowl. Is he playing against Hercules? What if Hercules is a football star?
Ooh.
I like that.
Plot twist.
So if Hercules is a football star and they're just taunting each other and Hercules says that to Tom Brady and then they beat him.
What if they're on the same team and then Hercules was saying these jokes, so then Tom Brady left that team to join a different team?
Oh, okay. So,
A little drama.
okay.
Watch
So,
This is following Tom Brady's trip to Tampa Bay.
so what I'm hearing so far, here's what we have for our story. Our dear hero Hercules. She is on a football team with the greatest satyr quarterback, Tom Brady.
Yes.
And one day, while they're messing around in practice, Hercules goes a little too far and says that he's an old man that has his balls deflated. And he takes that personally. And he leaves the team to join the other team. What's the other team's name?
The Pirates.
The Pirates. The Pirates.
Are you a theater major?
No.
How about the centaurs?
The
Okay, yeah,
centaurs.
yeah.
And they're all centaurs?
Yeah.
And he's the... I like that.
I like it too.
So it'll be, and let's say Hercules' team is the satyrs. So it's the satyrs versus the centaurs. It's like the Army versus Navy football game. It's like an old rivalry.
Can we like pause for a second?
Yeah, of course.
What's the difference between a centaur and a satyr?
So a satyr is a horse a satyr is a goat person.
Centaur's
a
a
centaur is a
horse.
horse person.
That makes sense. Because I was like, I saw Percy Jackson. They look pretty similar. I couldn't tell you. So that makes sense.
So
Makes sense. Cool.
are we saying that the centaurs beat the satyrs, or are we saying they have a big game coming up and Tom Brady swears that he's going to beat them?
Mm. Well, that's where the comedy and the tragedy comes in, because you think the tragic portion of it, it's going to be Tom Brady just dicing him, slicing him the whole game, and then Hercules is like, nah, I'm a bad bee, like, I'm gonna do me, and she gonna come in and she just scores like 12 touchdowns.
Yeah. So
But
we'll
then
say rising action.
she had deflated the footballs, actually, so that's where the tragedy falls in.
Oh, and then he deflates the football.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so
Lost it
so
wrong
we
joke.
have our climax is going to be the big game, right? Are we going to call that our climax?
Yeah.
So now we need to figure out what comes in between Tom Brady leaving the team and the big game. Now, is the big game at the end of the season?
Yeah.
So what happens during that season?
Mm.
A strange illness.
A strange.
We could say
Brady.
like the Black Plague.
Yeah.
comes through.
So they can't play.
Wrong time.
They can't have any fans there.
They can't have any fans there, so that ruins the.
It-
And I'll tell you what, that's comedy because it has to do with the society around us,
yes.
right?
True.
So that integrates the comedic kind of, and just like Greek plays would do back in the day, they would integrate comedy about the society around them. So that's what we're going to try and do here. So let's say a strange illness comes over the land and they can't have any fans in the stadium. Why is that detrimental to our friends, the Satyrs?
Hercules needs fans.
Needs fans
Yeah,
to
to play
perform?
She
So,
needs
yeah.
people to laugh at her jokes.
She does.
Yeah.
True.
So does she get her strength and her amazing football skills from the jokes?
Yeah. It's like
And the laughter.
yeah, it's like
It's like Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. Yeah.
It's exactly like Monsters Inc.
She's just helping laughter on the sidelines.
Tries to make her team laugh, but ever since Tom Brady left, It hasn't been the same. So they struggled during the season.
Oh, okay. So Tom Brady was the one who laughed at her jokes the most.
Yes.
And she needs the fans in the stands because they would laugh at her as well.
Mhm.
So now because there's no one
Now
there
they're
to
both
laugh-
gone.
And we can also say, well, how does our team feel about Tom Brady?
They liked Tom Brady, and they were sad that he left.
So is everybody down?
Yeah.
And no one's gonna laugh at her jokes.
No one's
Mhm.
laughing.
So no one's laughing anymore.
So it's a really tough season.
Exactly. So they have a bad season, all because Tom Brady left and nobody laughs at Hercules anymore.
But they made a
That's
trade
terrible.
in the middle of the season. And they got another funny person.
Yeah. They got a young upstart satyr named Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay, so far what I have is exposition. We have our dear hero Hercules, who is an awesome football player who uses her comedy skills to increase her football playing ability. And one day, her best friend Tom Brady, she tells a joke that goes too far, and he says, "You know what? I'm not okay with this anymore. I'm leaving." And he joins the rival team, the Centaurs.
Boom.
And the Centaurs are looking to win the league and beat the Satyrs. And let's say the Satyrs are the league champ, and they're trying to win the champ title again.
Back to back.
So they have something on the line, yeah?
Oh, I
Mhm.
So they go up against the teams throughout the season, but in the first couple of games, a strange illness plagues the land. And now, not only is her own team not laughing at her, but no one's in the stands, so no one can laugh at her there either. So now she's devoid of her football power. What is she to do now? What comes next? Is the big game next?
No.
I think like reflection back at her penthouse.
She has a penthouse. Yes.
Oh, like a classical, like made out of stone penthouse. Not like a hotel. Like back in the PCs, like no, I'm saying like their type of penthouse.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe a penthouse, like animal penthouse.
Like a beautiful
Yeah.
villa.
You gotta have like something like that. She's
So
like,
we have like the 11th
Reflecting.
hour scene. Is that what you're talking about?
The
Like,
She had to go over like how she began her career and the jokes that worked.
it's like her in the
Gotcha.
mirror.
So
and
she's
like-
got to be like, oh wait, the
What-
jokes were inside me.
What
all
worked
along.
last time? This is who I am.
So Hercules has become so dependent on the idea of other people laughing at her.
Yes.
She's forgot that she needs to be able to laugh at herself.
Yes.
So she needs to discover that the magic was in her all along.
Exactly.
Boom goes dynamite.
And then do they win or do they lose?
They can lose.
Oh, it's a tragedy, right? Are we doing a tragedy
That'd be
ending, or
so.
we having
That'd be
a good
so
ending?
messed up.
I don't know. We haven't gotten the tragedy part in yet.
Tom Brady left.
That's okay. That could be a tragedy part. The illness can also be pretty tragic. Yeah, we could say they win.
She got catch this dub. She gonna come in at halftime.
We'll
and
just
have
say it
this-
went to overtime,
this speech.
and then they went in overtime because Hercules. They took a timeout, and Hercules had to think about everything that she went through, and then she finally won.
Gotcha. So, are we, okay, so are we thinking win or lose here?
We can go in.
Got it. for the W.
All right. And Hercules returns the magic to herself and wins. And that, right there, my friends, is a Greek satyr play that we've just come up with. Look at that. That took 15 minutes to come up with it. I'm going to write this stuff down. I'm going to have this typed up here in a couple days, okay? It's going to be big. So, as we're finishing up now, we got about 5 minutes left in class, so we're going to talk about this unit and what kind of I have planned for you guys. So, we have a bit of an assessment for this unit, okay? We're going to have a project that I want you guys to kind of be working on throughout the unit to talk about, and we're going to talk about it right now. Here we go. Okay, it's dead, but there's nothing on it anyway. Don't worry about it. There's nothing on this slide besides, hey, let's talk about the project. So, what I'm going to have you guys look at is you guys need to start paying attention to specific playwrights. So, who were some playwrights that we talked about today? Does anybody remember their names?
Scophilus.
Sophocles, close
Yep.
enough.
That one. The father of tragedy.
Aeschylus.
Yep.
Nope, it's an E name.
Euripides?
Euripides.
That's
Perfect.
right.
So today we talked about Aeschylus, Euripides, and Sophocles. Now, throughout this unit, we're going to be talking about playwrights in specific because, you know, what theater would we have if we didn't have great playwrights? And I want you guys to take a deeper look into these playwrights. Here in a couple days, I'm going to ask you guys some of the playwrights we've been over or some playwrights that you guys have researched yourself. I'm going to have you guys pick an individual playwright. So let's say me, Mr. Lim, decided, hey, I'm going to do William Shakespeare. I'm not saying you can't do William Shakespeare. You can absolutely do William Shakespeare. So I'm going to do William Shakespeare. I'm going to start gathering research on what was William Shakespeare's plays like? What was his home life like? What was every single aspect of William Shakespeare's life? And then on the last day of this unit, everybody is going to come to class prepared with a trifold poster of information about their playwright. And now here's the kicker. We're going to do a bit of a hot seat discussion type style in which you guys are going to come to school as that playwright, in character almost. Now, don't go full out, don't like full on cosplay William Shakespeare, as much as I would like to wear the frilly neck things, I don't know what they're called. I'm not going to do that, but try maybe dressing what you think they would dress like in a modern day. What would William Shakespeare wear to the park on a Sunday if he were alive in New York City today? You know, let's look at those type things, and we're going to come to class as that character that day. And I'm going to pull this chair right here in the center. I'm going to have your trifold right up here on the desk, and the rest of your class is going to get to ask you questions about that playwright. They're going to say, hey, William Shakespeare, what is your home life like? And then you as me as William Shakespeare would tell you, well, I'm this, and this, you know, my home life is like this. You don't have to do a silly voice or anything. I don't know why I did a silly voice. Shakespeare sounds silly to me in my head. I don't know why. Yes, Amy?
So when we do the hot seat, is it going to be first come, first serve for a historical figure, or can it just be Shakespeare?
So I'm going to do drawing at a hat system.
Okay.
It's going to be first come, first serve. So I would recommend having 1, 2, 3 playwrights picked out, a first, second, third option, just so you can have some backups just in case you don't get the one you were looking for. If I really wanted to do Aeschylus, but Sammy gets pulled first, and she says, I want to do Aeschylus. I know it's not going to be fun for me, but I'll say, oh, well, I had Euripides in my back pocket, so I'm going to go ahead and do Euripides. Are we clear on that, guys?
Yeah.
Any questions so far?
No, sir.
No? All right, with that, looks like we got like 10 seconds till the bell rings, so. Any questions about the lesson we learned today either? Anything that we want to talk about? No? Perfect. All right, guys, I will see you guys in the next class, okay?
All right.